Hello, Geography Geniuses! Today's video is titled Plate Movements. We've been talking about the plates that are underneath the crust of the Earth, and this video is going to help us understand how they move and what happens to the Earth's surface when they make a movement. So the first thing we need to know are the two different types of plates that there are. Each plate has its own name, and we don't really need to be concerned with the names, but what we want to know are what type of plate are they. The first type of plate is called an oceanic plate, and those are plates simply that are below the oceans. The second type of plate is called a continental plate, and those are plates that are below the continents. Now, some plates are below a continent and an ocean, or a little bit of both. So scientists and geographers look to see what it has mostly. Is it mostly underwater, or is it mostly under land? And they decide whether it's continental or oceanic. So the first type of plate movement that we need to know about is called divergence. Divergence is when two plates move away from each other. And you can think of divergence like divide in math when you use numbers and you split things. Divergence is the same idea. It's when two plates slowly over time move away from each other. So if you take your hands, and we're going to call these hands our plates for the rest of this video. If you take your hands and you kind of tuck your thumbs underneath and you put your hands together and then slowly move them apart, that's basically what plate divergence is. And what happens is the space that's created in between the plates leaves room for some stuff underneath. Our thumbs are representing that stuff called magma from the mantle. And the magma from the mantle kind of comes up and it creates a bump in either the ocean floor or in the Earth's surface, depending on the type of plate. So for example, when two ocean plates diverge from one another or move apart, an ocean ridge is formed. The magma comes up between the space created by the plates, and it hardens when it touches the colder water, and it creates a bump in the ocean floor called an ocean ridge. And the further the plates go, the more magma comes up, and the bigger the ridge becomes. The next type of plate movement is called convergence, and this is basically the opposite of divergence. When two plates, instead of moving apart, now they're coming together. So think convergence, come together. They come together when they converge. So in convergence, when two plates move towards each other, so if you have your plates again, your hands, if you have your plates, when they move towards each other, when the rocks hit each other, those large pieces of rock, the plates, when they hit each other or converge, the rock has nowhere to go but up. And so it pushes up on itself and it creates mountains. So convergence, anywhere we see mountains on the Earth, underneath the crust, at the very bottom of the crust, but before the mantle, the plates are converging all the time, moving closer together and pushing up the mountains, which is why mountain ranges and mountains are always getting a little taller. Now, little tiny bits over millions of years, but because those plates are coming together and the rock is being pushed up, that's how mountains are created on the surface of the Earth. So there's actually another type of convergence that we need to know about, and that type is called subduction. So when two plates are coming together, got our hands again, when two plates are coming together like they do in convergence and they're ready to collide with one another, instead of actually hitting each other and creating a mountain like they do in convergence, one slides underneath the other and pops up the second plate. When it does that, this is called subduction. When one slips under the other, it pops up the second plate. They leave a space. A space is created in this underneath motion. And that space allows the magma, again represented by our thumb like it was in divergence, leaves space for the magma, which is part of the mantle, to come up through that space. So what we've created through subduction is a volcano, a mountain that has a hole in it where magma and lava from the mantle can come up because of pressure that builds up inside the volcano. So subduction is like convergence, but instead one slips under the other and creates the volcano. So the last type of plate movement that you need to know about is called sliding plates, and that is when two plates, so have your plates again, when they slide against each other. And it can happen between two continental plates or two ocean plates, and depending on which is the pairing, different things happen on the Earth's surface. When two continental plates slide against each other, the movement of the plates creates an earthquake on the Earth's surface. When two ocean plates slide against each other, it's the same movement, but that creates an underwater earthquake. And an underwater earthquake, instead of just affecting the surface, it also creates a giant wave, and that giant wave travels over the surface of the ocean, and when it hits land, it can be very devastating to the people who live nearby, just as an earthquake can be devastating to the people who live in that area. But either continental or oceanic plates, tsunamis or earthquakes, what's happening is the plates are sliding against each other. So that brings us to the end of our different plate movements that we need to know in 6th grade. But a good thing to do right now is to go back and watch the video again if you need to, but to continue to practice with your hands demonstrating the different plate movements. So we have, let's start with the first one. We have divergence, which creates ocean ridges, convergence, that creates mountains, subduction, that creates volcanoes, and sliding plates that can either create earthquakes or tsunamis. So go back and practice. I hope this video has helped you. Please watch it again, practice your plate movements with your hands, and I look forward to practicing more in class.